What did I buy in Japanese Pokemon card stores in late 25 and early 26? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another video. In December, I uploaded a video in which I talked about the state of Japanese Pokemon card stores. I talked about the changes that I observed throughout 2025. And I promised in that video that I would go back and do some more exploring. On my way to Switzerland for the holidays, I stopped over in late December, and then I went to the stores again when I came back to Japan in early 2026, so just like a week ago. And I went card shopping. And rather than just talk about what I saw in general, because let's be honest, not much has changed in that time, I figured let's share some of the purchases I've made. I've kind of put together a few different categories of things that I bought, and I figured it could be interesting, maybe informative for some people to talk about what I bought and why I bought it. Sort of where I see value personally. So these different categories I have, we have a few old back holos. We've got some mid-era stuff. Well, still kind of vintage to be honest, but we got a couple black and white cards. We've got a stack of non-top loaded cards, and we even have a slab. So I'll go through these categories one by one, talking about why I bought it, why I think it was a decent buy, and this can hopefully give you a bit of an idea of what to expect in those stores these days. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about my reasoning behind making these purchases. So we will switch for this to the card cam. So here's the 5 categories. Let's start with old back holos. So I'll move these to the side. 2 Dark Ampharos, 1 Dark Typhlosion, an Aerodactyl, and then a Kingdra. You can see the prices that I paid for them. I believe these 2 are only holo in Japanese. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, why did I pick these up? Why are these in their unique category? Well, they're old back holos, but they're also very clean old back holos. I'm not going to take them out of the sleeves too much, but they are exceptionally clean. When I inspected them in the store, I think this one has like an insane swirl. I don't know if it's going to show or not, but they were just very clean. Now, one word of caution, when you inspect cards in the card stores, you're going to miss some stuff. It happens to me every single time. I look at something in the store, it looks clean, I take it home, I inspect it with my own lighting, able to take my time, and I find something wrong with it. But for these, when I looked at them in the store, they looked very clean. I couldn't see any whitening, I couldn't see any scratches, and here they are. Prices. So this is a bit of a tough one. A lot of these, well, I guess these 2 are very close to the PSA 9 price. These are all a little bit lower than the PSA 9 price. But what I will say is that typically most stores, if you see these cards for these prices, they'll be lightly played. So just getting them in near mint to mint condition for these prices is a good deal these days, in my opinion. Now I bought these because I have an upcoming ARS submission. I was lucky enough to get into the ARS submission when they opened in early January. They were only open for an hour and a half before they filled up all their submission slots. It was kind of wild. But I got in. I can send 20 cards. And I already have a stack set aside. If you're curious about that, I have a members video where I go through my upcoming PSA submission and ARS submission. That's all there. But I wanted a few more cards for the ARS submission to add and maybe switch out with some of the ones I have in a stack. And I thought it would be interesting for science to send some old back holos to ARS. Now, what I will say is that I looked at a lot of ARS 9s in Tokyo this time around. And I'm telling you, I didn't see a single ARS 9 old back holo with whitening on the back. They all looked so clean. And so I'm a bit concerned about these. But again, to me, they looked clean in the store. I'll have to give them a once over, obviously in person. And who knows, maybe none of these make the cut to go to ARS, but maybe they all do. We'll see. But that's the main purpose of these, to send something old back holo clean to ARS to test how they grade cards like this. That's why I bought these, but as I've mentioned in the past, anything that I buy has to make sense raw. And so even if these are not worth sending to ARS, they're not gradable, they should still be worth it raw. Now that's tough to justify when they're close to the PSA 9 price, but considering how hard they are to find in this condition in the first place, considering how expensive some of these packs are, I mean, Neo Destiny is well over 100,000. I think it's well over 150,000 for a pack. they just still kind of make sense for these prices to me, in my eyes. If you're curious, some of these, definitely OC, definitely OC, definitely OC. The reason why you can probably still find cards like this is probably primarily because people who send to PSA, submit with PSA, don't even look at these cards because they're off center. These would not get a 10 with PSA. I mean, maybe a couple of these have a shot in terms of centering. Like the Kingdra looks pretty good. One of the Amphros isn't too bad, but people who grade with PSA are not going to pick these up. And ARS famously doesn't grade centering. I'm sort of torn on that, 50-50. I'll reserve my opinion, sharing my opinion on that for the ARS video that's upcoming, where I go in depth about everything I like about ARS and everything I dislike about ARS and everything I'm sort of unsure about. But the reality is, because they're a little OC and they're not gradable with PSA, they're sitting in the stores. And I was able to find them. Okay, next category. I'm trying to make this not too long here. We got some more cards to be graded. These were all, if you're curious, I forgot to say, so these were from Bihompo, Akihabara. This is from Ninnin in Ikebukuro. Now these next three, they are all from Otachu in Akihabara. You see the Metagross CX, the Sneasler EX, and then a web series RK9. See the prices, 11,000, 4,000, and 12,000. These are also examples of cards that I looked at in the store that just looked very, very clean. I couldn't find anything wrong with them in the store. Same here. I have to look at them again, on my own time to see if they're actually gradable. You can see we have kind of a similar story here with this one, where it's a little bit off center, right? The Metagross EX is centering-wise is okay, but these I picked up because they're clean, but also because I thought they'd look cool in an ARS slab, which is also why I'm going to potentially be sending these to ARS if they're clean enough. If you're curious, okay, Otachu, that store is so cool, but my God, it's always full of people. You don't have a lot of time to inspect cards. In fact, they have a card inspection time limit now. And I think that's good, because everyone should get their turn. But there's only so much you can inspect in that time you have. And out of all the cards I inspected, these were legitimately the only ones that I think had a shot at a 10 with any grading company. It's a bit random as well, depends on what you end up inspecting, of course, right? But I found some clean ones. These ones I found in December before I went to Switzerland. This one I picked up when I came back in January. I think the RK9 is maybe interesting to talk about because you can see 12,000 yen seems relatively crazy for a non-holo web series RK9. They had another one for 10,000 yen that was lightly played, I guess. This one, again, looked clean. You can also see with Otachu, by the way, the little number in the front is when they stocked these. So these were stocked in November. I picked them up in December. This one was stocked in January, and I picked it up in January. Over the last couple of years, but more so last year, and especially the last few months, I have kind of gotten to the point now where I think anything Japanese exclusive, especially from back in the day, is a massive deal. I don't know how to explain it. Considering how much the hobby has grown, the markets have grown, considering how relatively little these days remains Japanese exclusive, anything older Japanese exclusive to me is just a huge deal. And this RK9 is a good example of a card that is very cool artwork. Reprinted here in web series. The original one is, I believe, from the Squirtle deck, the intro deck. But this artwork never made it to any other language, as far as I'm aware. And because of that, I was willing to pay 12,000 yen for it, without even checking comps. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, that's not an easy buy, because that's a lot of money for a non-holo, but I don't know, man. There's just something with Japanese exclusive stuff that has changed this year. It's gonna hit a switch in my head where I suddenly value this stuff a lot more, considering as well how hard it is to find cards like this in this good of a condition. But is it worth it? We'll see. But another one that I might send to ARS, because with ARS, again, not gonna try and take away too much from my dedicated ARS video, but I think anything Japanese exclusive is just especially cool in ARS slabs. You have a Japanese exclusive artwork in a Japanese exclusive grading company slab. It just kind of makes sense to me. But yeah, that's why I picked these up. I feel pretty good about these prices right here and these two. This one feels expensive, but as I explained with the Japanese exclusive stuff from back in the day, I can kind of justify it. Let me know how you feel about it. Okay, let's go to the next two cards. There's only two cards here. We got a unlimited Plasma Gale Lugia. I guess I can take these out. Yeah, unlimited Plasma Gale Lugia, and we've got a first edition Psycho Drive Mewtwo, black and white. Yeah, obviously super sick card. Texture on these goes hard. This was 16,000 yen. Now, before you say, oh my god, Ibex, what an incredible steal, it's pretty rough on the back, as you can see, hopefully, in the video. It's got some nasty scratches here. It's got whitening pretty much all around the card. Surface scratches. But what it doesn't have any dents. It doesn't have any creases, indents. The front is very clean. The front looks really nice. It's a very nice binder copy, technically speaking. And 16,000 yen felt good for an unlimited copy especially. And this is an example of a card that when I checked Medicuddy, I could not have found it cheaper on Medicuddy. Which, circling back to the video I made in December, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. That's not so common these days. And so when I saw that cards on Medicuddy were selling for the same or more in significantly worse condition, I was happy to pick this up. It's kind of the same story with the Mewtwo. This is from, oh god, I don't know the name of the store, but there's like this underground shopping mall in Akihabara. It's like a floor, a small floor, but it's full of card stores. There's like five, six card stores in there in the same floor. It's very confusing. Sometimes you don't know which store a showcase belongs to. I think this floor opened not too long ago. It's relatively new. And this is from one of the stores there. And then this is from Cardon, the Japanese YouTuber, Tomohappy, the Hallelujah guy, Magic the Gathering player, his store. Blue sleeve, so this was condition C. There is no price tag on it because they had an oversized sleeve with the price tag on it that didn't fit into the side loader, so I just threw that away. But it was 8,500 yen. It's kind of the same story here. A very, very clean looking front. Man, black and white. Black and white cards, textures just are so good. Yeah, really nice front, and then the back, call it lightly played. It's got some whitening. Same story here. Overall, the surface looks pretty good. A little bit of whitening. Sorry, yeah, condition C actually, yeah. B in Cardon is yellow. But, whitening all around, lightly played, moderately played maybe. But same story here. Couldn't have found a better deal on Medicuddy, really. But I also bought these, kind of repeating myself here, for the ARS submission. So I wanted some cards in slightly worse condition, go to ARS to test their grading scale. I'm going to try sending some clean cards to ARS for sure, try and get those 10s, and maybe even if I get lucky, a 10 plus. But I wanted some sick cards that would look insane in an ARS slab in lower condition to send to ARS, and that's these two. I think they're really good. I think they're good pickups. Okay, the Lugia, okay, 16,000 yen. Of course, all of these cards would have been cheaper a year ago, goes without saying. But the PSA 10s of this card, I think the most recent sale is like 450,000 yen. And the one before was like 430. I think a few months ago they were going for like 350. So it's been going up. But if you think about the most recent sale on eBay, 450,000 yen for a PSA 10, I think it's like 28 times as expensive as this raw card, if I did the math correctly. But that's crazy to think. And cards like this, that are this iconic, this awesome, they are now, to me, some of them are in the same category as Gold Stars, Shinings, Crystals, old school EXs, first edition, no rarity. Not in terms of their value or whatever, what they might be worth in the future, but sort of in terms of, it's nice to just have the card. When the PSA 10s go for that much, you can still find a nice looking binder copy, although this is going to ARS for science, but when you can still find cards like this in this condition for 16,000 yen for that much cheaper, it's just nice to have the card. Because to me personally, when cards get that expensive, just owning the card in any condition, period, gives me like 90% of the satisfaction for a fraction of the price. And that just makes sense to me. That's what I see value-wise here. Right? Of course, it'd be nice to have a clean card in a PSA 10 or something. That'd be sick. Obviously, I'd be a bit uncomfortable having it being being that expensive. But I don't know, man. When you think about it, wasn't that long ago, just a few years ago, when gold stars, Japanese gold stars, were selling for that much. The same price that this Lugia is now selling for in a 10. And if you could travel back in time, would you not have loved to pick up any gold star in any condition for 15 to 20,000 yen? Of course, right? Looking back. Not that this will be as expensive as gold stars are today at some time in the future. I'm not going to predict that. In fact, I think we're in a bit of a bubble. A lot of this can come down. But it's sort of an example of, like, if you think about the gold star example, right, where it's just, you just want the card. Condition isn't even that important anymore. To me, some of these slightly older, but even not that old cards, like black and white, some of these black and white cards are now in that same category in my head, to me at least. They're scarce enough. If you look at the pop reports of these, first edition, there's like 2 to 3 times as many as unlimited, but even first edition, there's not that many of these. And so, yeah, I just feel about these cards this way now. It's the same way I felt about gold stars a few years ago, although back then I never bought any, which I today, of course, regret. But here we go. That's these two. Okay, this next stack will be quicker. This is just some non-top loader stuff. We got a few Mega Attack rares here, all Dragonite, Mega Dragonite EX. I just really like this card, and it was 1,380 yen in book off. Seems about market price. I think Card Rush is about this much, or at least it was when I bought these. Yeah, they've come down to a good point now where I felt comfortable picking up a few. I think these still have room to come down because of how much this set is printed. Man, there isn't a day that goes by without me seeing a Twitter notification of another department store somewhere in the Tokyo area selling 6 boxes per person. It's insane. Since release, essentially. Pokemon Center just started another lottery the other day. There's a lot of this stuff out there, and these Mega Attack rares are pretty easy to pull, so these definitely have room to come down. The book off that I bought these in Akihabara, they had, I don't even know how many. There were so many of these there. But still, for this price, I think this card is cool enough to justify this price. And, if it comes down a little bit more, I'll buy a few more. That's fine. But this is just a card I want to have because I love the artwork. I think it's a dope-looking card. And as well, in general, I'm just a big fan of the Mega Attack rares. Then I just have some more singles here. These are going to be lightly played on average, I'd say. Some of these are probably near mint, like these yellow ones are from Cardon in B condition. They can be pretty good. Then this is a little worse. This is probably moderately played. But on average, we're looking at lightly played. For some reason, this Shieldon caught my eye. I bought it in 2 different stores. I don't know why. It's definitely not a popular Pokemon. I don't know. I just really like the artwork. It's a nice looking card. A Darkrai. This Groudon is sick. Then a Giratina. If you're curious about Cardon condition B, I think these are going to be in the near mint category. Let's call it lightly played. A little bit of whitening here, and then maybe like a scratch or two. That's not bad, honestly. And yeah, I just think this is good value. Again, considering how much these packs cost that these cards come in now, it's all kind of nuts. Shout out to Cardon, by the way. It was so chill. I inspected a bunch of cards there, but they allowed me to sit down with a guy at a small desk, and he was just working on the computer, allowing me to take my time, inspect the cards. It was super, super chill, super relaxed. Complete opposite of Book Off, by the way, where she stood with me at the showcase, and we went through every single card one by one, and a lot of these were not clean. They had whitening or scratches, so that took a lot longer than Cardon. But that's these. And then, last but not least, it's the Slab. It's the PSA 9 Gengar and Mimikyu GX. PSA 9, you can see 12,800 yen. I think this is an interesting one for a couple of reasons. First of all, a bit of announcement, I guess. Shug and I are working on a bit of a video at the moment. We're sending 20 PSA slabs to ARS to get a holder change. So we're sending them in the slab to ARS to see what they create with ARS. We have 20 slabs. He actually already sent them to me. I have his slabs here right next to me on the side. I have 10, he has 10. We have low grades, we have middle grades, we have high grades. It's going to be super interesting. I bought this one for this little experiment, so there's a little spoiler, I guess. And we will do a live stream upcoming, maybe a week and a half from now-ish, you'll see it pop up on my YouTube channel as like a scheduled live stream. I'll announce it on my Instagram as well, of course. But in that live stream, we're going to go through all 20 slabs one by one and talk about why we picked that slab for, why are we sending this one in particular to ARS, and we'll look at the slabs in detail. We'll look at the condition, and we might do some ARS grade predictions, who knows. But that's going to be an interesting live stream, so stay tuned for that. But this is one that is going to be in that submission. 13,000 yen for a 9. The second reason why this is interesting is because this is an example of one of those cards, just like the Mewtwo GX that I talked about in my last video, where PSA 9 is just a lot cheaper than the raw card. I think Card Rush and Torika Camp, last time I checked a few days ago, they were selling this card in A condition for, I think, 18,000 yen. And if you order that blind off of Card Rush and Torika Camp, can you get a card that could grade a 10? Of course you can. But you could get a card that has whitening, you could get a card that has some scratches, and specifically GX cards, centering, you're gambling massively on the centering ordering blind from card stores at 18,000 yen. PSA 9s are like 13. In the card store, this is from a card store, you can get these even a little bit cheaper on Medicati for like 11,000, I think. Crazy to think, right? But this one's going to ARS. I thought it would be an interesting candidate because at first I thought it got denied because it's not perfectly centered, but it has a little bit of a tiny white nick at the bottom here. So I don't necessarily think this is going to upgrade with ARS, but it's just going to be interesting for science. And in general, just a good example of PSA 9 value these days. Man, can you save money if you don't go for the 10s? It's crazy. Like if you don't go for the raw cards even, it's nuts. So these were the pickups I showed. I have a few more in the box here, but they're not quite as interesting. Cool cards for sure. I'm excited about all these purchases. So these are the cards I bought in late 25 and early 26 for the reasons that I explained. I'd love to hear your opinions down below in the comments. Do you think I overpaid? Do you think I got really good deals? Does my reasoning make sense to you? Can you agree with it, or do you see value in different ways? I'd love to hear your opinions down below. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for that, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.